Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Cryptid Creator Corner. I'm Byron O'Neill, your host for our Comics Creator Chat. Growing up a Marvel spinner rack kid, my first introduction to comics was in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man in the early 1980s. The Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. run defined our friendly neighborhood webhead for me. The recent Ultimate Spider-Man run scratched the itch of what the risk the publisher is willing to take to adapt the franchise, but nothing has made me quite as excited in quite some time as seeing what I hope is a truly bold and creative swing at redefining him for a new generation of readers. So it's my pleasure to introduce today's guest, Philip Kennedy Johnson, one of the architects of Marvel's new Midnight Universe and the writer of one of its three flagship launches, Midnight Spider-Man. Welcome, man. You are straight off the back of San Diego Comic-Con. Have you recovered yet?
Hey man, no, not yet, clearly. For those not caught up, I was a little late tonight, so thank you for your patience. And no, I'm not caught up. I just got back late last night and right back in turning in scripts and trying to hit deadlines and the usual grind. But San Diego was awesome and met a ton of fans, made a lot of new friends, saw a lot of old friends. Been talking Midnight and Hulk and the Spider-Man Brand New Day premiere and all kinds of stuff. It's been a whirlwind, but it's been super good.
So is that your first red carpet event? I know you attended the Brand New Day premiere, so.
Yeah, that was my first one. Yeah, the carpet was actually blue this time, but
Okay.
that was my first time, yeah. Like, there were, Sony and Marvel were very, very kind and brought me out for this, and, yeah, it was awesome.
Awesome. Well, I want to start with your own progression as a writer. Your Hulk run now 40 or so issues in. It gave you this incredible runway to reimagine one of Marvel Universe's most recognizable heroes. Importantly, through the lens of body horror, while crafting kind of a unique pocket earlier on the run within the larger 616, with world building that kind of operated without the pressure of the overarching continuum, although now that's going to change. But Midnight Spider-Man feels like a natural next step in that progression. So how did we land on Spider-Man?
Man, well, there was actually a discussion between Jonathan Hickman and some of the kinda high ups at Marvel, like CB Cebulski and Dan Buckley, and it's like, just ideas for events that we might do or directions we might go, and it was all very um, just half formed, but they were like, "What if we did like another imprint?" Like it's people have been making comparisons to like the Ultimate line and the Absolute line, and I see
Right.
why they would, but actually the touchstones that they were actually bringing up in the first place were things like Marvel Knights and Max and other like imprints that Marvel had in the past.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the beginning of the conversation. And Midnight, although we weren't calling it that in the beginning, it was like we didn't have a name for it at first. It was just like, what if we did it like this? And Jonathan had a clear idea for what he wanted to do with X-Men. He still got X-Men on the brain, and there was a very specific X-Men story he wanted to tell that puts all of his amazing, you know, world building and lore and all this kind of stuff. The way this he tells stories, he had a thing he wanted to do with X-Men and vampires in that way that he was really excited about. And we talked about other books that we might do, and my mind just immediately went to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, as they came to myself and Ben Percy, who are the two resident psychos on staff over there. Like we love horror stuff. Um, I definitely do, but Ben has an amazing knowledge of horror prose, but also horror films.
Okay.
Um, and that's just where our head goes. So they came to us. We had just recently done Dungeons of Doom, and they're like, let's get these guys, put these put these tools to use. And yeah, my head just immediately went to Spider-Man. Like that book should have been a Cronenberg movie in the first place. When you take the idea of like, the brilliant, clumsy kid that then gets transformed and gets a spider power. It's like, what would that actually look like? Like if you let go of the old familiar elements of like the polite little spider on the hand that kind of gets smacked and like the kid who gets powers but still looks the same.
Yeah.
Like, what would somebody like Cronenberg or John Carpenter do? Or Del Toro or like these filming or Junji Ito, the great, you know,
Right.
manga artist. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of the things I started thinking about. It's like, man, we should do Spider-Man this way. And that's what we're doing. It's gonna be sick as hell. I cannot wait for everyone to see. And we found the perfect artist for it. He's a guy that actually has a lot of manga influence in his own style.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool. I cannot wait for you to see.
Well, we've seen like transformative body horror takes on Spider-Man before, like the Six Arm Saga and the I think that was the 70s and the animated series in the 90s, Joe Kelly's Savage Spider-Man, the other. So we've seen some stuff before, and you've been doing these teaser videos on TikTok, walking around, ironically, maybe not in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
kind of promoting this series, and doing that typical deep dive of continuity that everybody has to do. But one of the things you mentioned there that I thought was really fascinating was that manga route, and you talked about Scie Tronc, who is the artist on the series there. So,
Mhm.
what are you seeing in manga that there was an absence of in Western comics that you wanted to kind of pull from?
Man, I don't even it's hard for me to even quantify it. Like,
Okay.
I'll say this, I've read a lot of Western comics over my lifetime, and, it's not that I mean, people are doing amazing, um, super creative things, but, I've been in that pool for a long time, and I think I understand most of the influences that are influencing others, whereas manga is an entirely different ecosystem of storytelling,
Right.
and I just don't know it as well. So for me personally, I've like manga in the past, with the exception of Ito, I've always been aware, not always, but like I've been familiar with Junji Ito's work more so than most other, big manga people. Um, I find it's harder to surprise me with Western comics than it is with manga. Like
Okay.
there are just some differences in the storytelling that it's hard for me to put my finger on.
Okay.
But also just the horror imagery it's very patient in a way that I really admire. But then when
Yeah.
it cuts loose, like just some of the visuals that I see in manga comics are so like over the top and upsetting in a way that really does like really just serves horror comics so well. It's not like nobody's drawing gross shit in Western horror comics, but something about
Sure.
manga just really hits hard. I don't know. I just really admire it. So yeah, I'm just drawing on that for influence. And part of it, I don't even remember what originally so the visual style of Midnight Spider-Man is very East meets West.
Yeah.
It's not just straight up manga, but you'll see the influence on the page. There's much more detail and gore and like horror nuance in it that you don't necessarily see in the usual manga. But you will see the influence in the art style for sure. I don't remember, like, what the first thing that steers that way was because the big like, one big visual element of Spider-Man that I thought really had to be there was the eyes. Like, it's not a costume superhero kind of book at all. Like, this is not a spandex book. This is a creator-owned horror book is the way how I wanted it to feel. Obviously, it's not creator-owned, but I wanted to have that creator-owned sensibility.
Sure.
Um, like, how do we get Spider-Man that the iconic eye shape without it being like just a tailored mask that he makes himself? And I kinda looked around and, like, different kinds of masks or eyewear or spider eye shape or different kinds of like, I just kinda went down a rabbit hole of different possibilities. And then I found one that was perfect, and it is the eyes the eye lens it's the lenses from the Imperial Air Force from World War II, Japanese aviators from World War II. Like the lenses and those masks look awfully Spider-Man like.
Okay.
And I was like, huh, how do we get here in a story kind of way? And the more I kicked that around, and then when we started talking about Scie Tronc as a possible art choice, I was like, yeah, what if he's a manga kid? What if this is, I know I got friends and my son's friends also who are just really into Japanese stuff, not just manga, but like Japanese culture.
Sure. Yeah.
Like what if Peter's one of those kids? And I just kind of it kind of helped me figure out Peter's character in a way that makes the visuals make sense, that makes Sitonk's art style make sense. There are other things in the comic that like I made up a manga series that Peter follows in World that also ends up playing an important element in the story.
That's
It's
cool.
just yeah, the way it's all signed together is actually really fun. It all feels very organic, and it's been really fun to bring it together like this.
Yeah, I wasn't super familiar with Scie Tronc's work previously. I think the only thing they've done for Marvel was like Godzilla destroys the Marvel universe. But yeah, their background is
Yeah,
in
just
doing I think it's like French, more noir, more manga influenced stuff.
yeah, each one of his books looked really different. Like he did a few like fill-in pages for Marvel, and that was basically it.
Right.
But when he did them, we really took note. And before that, he did this fantasy book that seems based in like European, like history, kind of history and lore. He did a book on Ted Bundy, I believe, or illustrated a graphic novel on Ted Bundy.
Interesting.
Trying to think what else, but the art style is nothing like what you're seeing here. Like it's all very each one of those books is very different. Um, so yeah, he's done some really eclectic, cool, diverse stuff, but he's never done anything that looks like this. It's very different. I'm really excited for everyone to see.
Well, one of the things that I'm kind of curious about where this is going, right? We have the Lens of Oscorp who's creating monstrous animal hybrids and scientific hubris mixed with capitalistic corporate culture run amok. Feels very contemporary right now. I think that's one of the things that like people have gravitated towards Absolute Green Arrow specifically for, and that's why it's connected with so many people, right? And manga historically has that history of being associated with nuclear anxiety, and like a metaphor for radiation sickness, physical agency during the nuclear age, all those kinds of things. So I'm seeing kind of that corporate culture expression in our own country as being a parallel that I think it feels like you're probably interested in and kind of scratching and exploring with the series. Am I off or
Oh man, like this is
okay?
it's meant to be like all my work is in some way a reflection of the times, like whether it be my own personal experience, my life with my own son or my job or whatever, or whether we're talking about a larger picture of just society right now. Um, I mean, I can't remember. I mean, I'm only halfway through one person's life, but like in my limited time on this earth, I don't remember a time when, um, billionaires were more reviled than now. Like, or a time when there was less trust in you know, the levers of power.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like
mean,
um, I mean, what's the mission statement of Spider-Man? I mean, it's everyone they say Spider-Man, everyone's like, with great power comes great responsibility. And of late, that has just been revealed as the biggest lie. Like it's just
mhm,
not true. It should be true. And
right.
Peter Parker is the guy who believes it. Peter Parker is the guy for whom he just needs it to be true. Um, there are character reasons in the story, like why he feels so strongly about it that way, like why he wants to believe that power can be wielded responsibly, but he kind of has this need to show the world, like you can do it. We can do it. I can do it. I can be great and wield greatness with responsibility and compassion and morality and honor. And he sets out
Yeah,
to kind of prove that to be true. And when he gets his shot, that power transforms him, you know? So it's what the world has actually shown us, in my opinion, is that power makes monsters,
oh,
like
for sure.
almost invariably.
Yeah.
And this is that book. This is the Peter exists in a world in which power makes monsters, every time. But he's the one who sets out to prove that it's not true. But it's even while it is changing him, like it physically, visibly changes him into a monster. And he's the whole time he's fighting it. It's like, no, I will be good. I will prove this is true. Even as he fails, he really wants to prove that it can be done. So that's what this
We
book is about.
Well, you also talked about how movies are influencing the project. You already referenced Cronenberg there. We've seen the cover for issue one. Everybody's seen that. I can't help but make a connection there to the Alien franchise and, Peter Wayland, who is also one of those weird like longevity evangelists, So
Right. Yeah.
what threads are you pulling from there?
Yeah, the Alien movies are a huge influence on this book too. I love the work of H.R. Giger. I love those Alien movies specifically. Like, I had the honor of getting to write the Alien comics for Marvel for several years. That was super fun and rewarding. And, I love the visuals of it and the gross life cycle of the xenomorph and everything, but really the important thing was that, like all great horror, has, like, this socially conscious message underneath it. I shouldn't say all, but, like, all my favorite stuff, like, there's a message underneath
Right.
it that matters, you know? Um, and, like, a theme that kinda ties the whole thing together, and in Alien, there are several elements, but the 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 corporation being the actual monster is the big thing. Like, it's the actual physical monster, the xenomorph, they just do what they do. Um, the actual bad guy is us. Like, we're the monster. We actually take the thing and steer it around and try it's doing our bidding, the Weyland-Yutani is really the monster that they're fighting the whole time. And, yeah, that just couldn't be more timely. Like, even if we were talking about Alien, like, it's the corporation as the thing that kills us is just that's the world we live in. So, I,
Right.
you know, I don't wanna make it sound like Midnight Spider-Man is a work of propaganda. It's not, but I do think that, you know, great like, when you're making art, it should reflect the times in some kinda way. I mean, I come from music. I was a musician before I was a writer, and Nina Simone said something like that. She said something like, I believe it's the responsibility of every artist to reflect the times." And I don't think that needs to be a hard, fast rule. I mean, it's art. We can do whatever we want with it. But I do think that that's a noble cause, and I think it's very commonly what happens, and that's what I set out to do in my own work. So this is like, without even really trying to, I do think this book has kind of turned into my anti-Epstein class kind of thing, where the monster, the monster is the the creepy billionaire. Like, it's just a scary concept right now. Like, the degree of power that the
Mhm.
wealthiest among us has is a scary thing. And to not use that in some kind of way when you're telling a story about power and responsibility, like, I just don't see how you can tell a story now and not touch on that some way.
Yeah, I mean, we live in the era of literal rich supervillains. Like
Yeah.
the stories of our childhood that we gravitated to, and that's why we love heroes so much. And like these people are living large, right? Like Brian Johnson with the project with a blueprint, he created clones of himself to harvest organs for, when his organs actually fail and these are replacements. I mean, this is science
Yeah, what's
fiction that's come to real
yeah,
life.
like, I saw that movie, like, it's this yeah, exactly. Like, it's this just unbridled power, like, people who can
Yeah.
just, like the Epstein thing, just be able to rape whoever, do whatever to whomever, and everyone knows it, and yet remain untouchable somehow for, like, generations, and, like, all their friends like, it's just crazy. Like, we're that whole system is just crying out for revolution. And that's yeah, that's kind of what this book is about. Like, this book is about this kid who is just desperate for personal transformation, that wants to be great, that wants to be great and powerful, but also, ethical and good, and to show us that it can be done. And when he gets this taste of power, it changes him in ways that are super like, the cost of that power is his humanity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what the book is about, and the art just matches that idea so effectively. I can't wait for you to see it.
I'm stoked about it, right? And I know y'all are going very hard with this, right? More blood and all that. As a Marvel kid, I'm frankly tired of DC reigning the sales charts. And let's not make it about dollars here, but there's something there that they're tapping into that we're not seeing right now at Marvel for whatever reason. Stick with me on the metaphor. You just got punched in the face, if you will, right? So how is this new Midnight Universe going to change the paradigm of what we know about Marvel as a comics publisher, right? Sell me. I want to believe, Philip. I want to see Marvel reign supreme again.
Um, I just can't I mean, okay. the danger of big two comics is that it's the monthly periodical that just goes on forever, right? And
Yeah.
the danger is that you just sell the same comics over and over again forever. So sometimes there has to be a big shakeup. There has to be some kind of a big change to make the comics look more like the world people live in, or to change the status quo drastically. And I can say as a reader, I've never seen Marvel change the status quo more in a book than we're doing here. I mean, this what we're doing here makes Ultimate and honestly Absolute too look pretty polite.
Okay.
Um, like just about every script I turn in so far, there's a meeting after that. Like people are talking like,
Wow.
what can we get away with? Like, can we do this? I don't know if we can. And I'm pushing pretty hard. I'm using every bit of juice that I've earned at Marvel to get away with stuff. Like we're pushing hard. Um,
Nice.
I I've there's several things about the book that I was told no to initially, and then I just pushed harder than I was comfortable with, frankly, and then it turned into yeses. Um, so we're taking chances. Like we're definitely not telling the same story here. Um, so yeah, I mean, when people are making comparisons to Absolute and all that, but it's really I'm trying to think of a more apt comparison. I mean, the only similarity really to Absolute is that it is a reimagine. It's like a like a rebirth kind of a thing. And that way that it I mean,
Yeah.
it's similar in that we're completely, burning the script and starting over, but what we're replacing it with is super different. Um, God, I mean, what else can I tell you? I think I've never seen the sales and marketing people at Marvel get so excited and creative. They're talking like when I talk to those guys, they're talking like creators themselves. They're like, you know what we could do, and like they're coming out with all these ideas. Like, here's how we should get these in front of people. Like everyone's creative juices are kind of flowing in a way I haven't seen in a long time, which is really cool.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I mean, I will say when I first got the art, it looked so different from everything else on the shelves at Marvel. I did and DC. I got nervous. I was like, "Is this too different? Is this too far? Are people gonna respond to this?" Like, I think we're gonna suck in a lot of new readers, but, like, are we gonna push away the old school Spider-Man fans? I still don't know the answer to that. It looks so different from anything you've ever seen from a Spider-Man book, but ma again, people want risks, man. We're doing it. Like, I've never seen risk like
Yeah.
this, and, love it or hate it, this is real different, and it's also the place where I wanna put everything that I've ever learned about comics to bear.
Okay.
Like, in the past, I've tried to be the good soldier and take every note and just kinda stay in my lane and all that, and I've been more involved in the whole creative process, in the book than I've ever been before. Like, I'm taking much more ownership over this the way that one would a creator-owned book, I think. As far as, like, DC versus Marvel, that's just a false comparison that I just kinda don't believe in. Like, 'cause
Sure.
I was at DC before during the big purge when, like, a ton of people got laid off. Like, the DO got fired, a lot of people got fired, like, a lot of editors lost their gigs. They were reining in page rates and cutting down on book count, and it just seemed like the world was ending over there. Like, it was a scary time over there, and, DC was kinda getting their head kicked in at that time, and everyone
Yep.
kinda talked about, like, at Marvel, having been in the summit I was also in Marvel summits when that was going on, and people in Marvel kinda talked like, "This is just the way it is, like, we're always gonna be in the lead." But there's this back and forth that I've seen happen since I started paying attention, and people have this weird, um, um, lack of object they have lost their object permanence, like, they've forgotten that it hasn't always been this way, like, whenever one side is in the lead, they act like they've always been in the lead, and so
Sure.
it becomes kind of in vogue to dunk on one side or the other for,
Right.
a couple years or a few years or whatever, and then it changes, and they act like the other way has always been the way. So, I don't know, I'm not as wrapped up in that. Plus, if you look at the market share, it's like they're neck and neck. They're always close. It's I think I don't remember what numbers were, but it's like, I don't know, 32 to 29 or something, and, it's close, and so it's to talk like one side is just, like, completely dominant and the other side has lost everything. It's just silly.
Yeah, well, I'll spare my last question here, before you get annoyed with me for probing too much on Midnight Spider-Man here.
No, go ahead.
So
I
I
mean,
got a quote.
I won't.
I think it
I don't have to answer. I probably do. I probably spoil too much sometimes, but I'll if I can't. If you're asking something I can't answer, I'll just plead the fifth.
no, no, this is just leading. This is just my own prognostication here. So taken from Cronenberg, right? So, quote, I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it, but the dream is over and the insect is awake. That's Seth Brundle in The Fly, right?
Uh huh.
Your current feature in Marvel Floppies talks about your affection for the lizard as a character.
Yes.
And if Brundle existed in the 616, he'd be Kurt Connors. So, anyway, my prognostication is that the lizard will play a huge role at the beginning of this. And now we can talk about the Hulk, so you can not
All
worry
right.
about that
Moving
at
on.
all.
I'll say I love that character. I love Kirk Connors. I love that um he's when he's human, he's so easy to root for. Like he's just such a it's so his position is so understandable. And yeah, I don't know. I love that character. I think he's great. I love that he fits the whole like animal theme of the Spider-Man villains, but he also fits the science
Right.
theme. He himself is not a bad guy, but he was like he wanted transformation and sought it out and was transformed and he just fits. He just fits the Spider-Man theme, and I love that character. I think he's one of the cooler ones. And he was never like the cackling one-dimensional guy that just wanted to burn it all down for no reason. Um so I love Kirk Connors, and I will say Kirk Connors plays an important role in the book. But
He had to.
even in this book though, like this has also taught me like well, I actually modern day life, 21st century life has showed me that cackling villains also exist. And
Exactly.
so they have their place as well. Um yeah, anyway, I'm really the villains are really exciting in this book. And I will say that is one thing about the Absolute Universe I admire very much. I really admire how the ways in which Scott and Nick um, have reimagined a lot of the villains. I think that's really cool. And
Killer Croc is so good. He's
yeah,
probably my favorite of Batman, in terms of the Rogues Gallery, and I love the absolute version of Killer Croc.
yeah, he's totally cool. And he's probably my favorite character in the first issue too. Like before all that happens, like that's really anyway. So
Yeah.
Scott's been a friend for a long time. I've admired Nick Dragata forever. Like East of West is probably my favorite graphic novel ever.
So good.
Yeah, and like so much of that is wrapped up in Nick. I mean, obviously it's Jonathan, but Nick's art. Like I just can't imagine that series without Nick's art, Nick and Frank. Um, so anyway, yeah, it's there are lessons to take from Absolute as well, but like Nick, the way that Nick has transformed some of those characters is really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get to another transformation here.
Do
Let's
it.
get to the Hulk.
Yeah.
I spent more than a decade working with bands myself. One road dog to another. I did not foresee the Hulk as a picaresque Cormac McCarthy inspired Appalachian folk horror, but I'm absolutely here for it. Like I loved it. And the Immortal Hulk redefined the character for Marvel, again, as this horror icon. And then we got a gap, which is whatever Donny Cates was doing, and I won't go into that. It was not my thing, and we can leave it there. But I'm from the South. I live in the South again. Rarely do we actually see it done well. So why the South? Why, what made you want to, center it right there?
Well, first, where are you from, roughly?
I am from, well, do you know where Oak Ridge, Tennessee is?
Hell
Knoxville's
yeah,
close.
yeah, of course.
Oh, you know where Oak Ridge is?
Yeah, dude.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Okay, so Tennessee. Yeah, well, I went to school in Eastern Kentucky University, and I
Okay.
was in high school in Kentucky before that. And yeah, so but since then, as you say, a road dog, I've traveled a lot, and I know the South extremely well, and it's just got this gothic beauty to it that like this almost like a creepy beauty that I really love. It's just got this look
Yeah.
to it that just makes sense. Have you read Hellboy: The Crooked Man?
Oh, yeah.
God, I love that book. And it looks like the South, right? Like, it's just
Hmm.
the way that Corbin drew that book, like that witchy story, it's just oh, man, I just love it. Um,
So I got to ask, are you familiar with Manly Wade Wellman then?
I guess not. What is that?
Ah, okay. So, an author, here's your homework. Check out Manly Wade Wellman's John Silver. So, the John Silver novels that he's written, there's, I think, maybe five, maybe six of these things, but centers around a Korean War vet who travels around collecting rural folk songs before they're forgotten, who ends up defending the communities that he finds himself in from cosmic malevolent forces. I think this is totally
Holy
up your alley.
shit, dude.
So,
That sounds
yes,
what a
yes,
pitch. That guy, you need to be on payroll.
yes.
You say, give the name it Manly Wade Wellman. Is that what you said?
Yep, yep.
Okay. All right. I'll look for that.
I'll email it to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well,
but
I've got it here too.
they're, out of print, but, like, totally worth finding. Anyway, I love Appalachian horror. I don't know if you're a fan of, Old Gods of Appalachia, but, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so much in this Hulk run that totally speaks to me.
Oh
So,
man, I'm
I'm
so
very, very
glad.
pleased
I'm
with it.
really glad to hear that. No, I, as you say, I loved Immortal Hulk, and the Cates run was different, but there were some things there that we could use as far as um like, well, basically where they left it, where, Banner's kind of the bad, like, Banner just victimizes Hulk the whole way and uses him like a power source, and they're just completely at odds. And it just set us up to return to the horror story where Hulk is just the monster of the movie, and the way that, the girl from The Ring is, or the thing from Smile, or It Follows, those kind of thing. Like the thing, like the evil entity in the movie, that's what Hulk is when we start, and Banner's just terrified of him. I think that sets it up in a really fun way, and in a way, honestly, that is more in keeping with the original vision for what the Hulk is. Like, it was, Stan and Jack always said in the beginning that it was supposed to be like a, Jekyll and Hyde slash Frankenstein kind of thing where the monster is the character. Um,
Right.
so I wanted to get back to that the way that Al did. One of the hardest elements was not to just ape what Al and Joe did because it was so good. I just wanted
It
more
was
of that.
such a great
It
series.
was great, yeah, but it was very much a Cronenberg black science kinda horror take, where I saw an opening to kinda join that idea with, like, the Bill Bixby, like, man on walking the American roads kinda take, and
Yep.
and selfishly, I wanted to see that in the American South because I think the South is just super creepy in a really really beautiful, mythological kinda way, like, the folk horror is just such a cool thing. And, there's a space in, like, Gothic folk horror, the kinda thing that you might see in the South, there's a space for things like, potter's fields and, hangman's trees and things like that, that would be harder to come by in places like, in the Northwest, or, it just suits the American South very well, in my opinion. Um, so I got to tell those really fun stories like, issues 2 and 3 in that coal mining town. Or, like, the
Mhm.
the Everglades in Florida, I got to bring out Man-Thing and stuff like that. Like, it was just, yeah, it just made sense. This is what, as you say, it just spoke to me.
Yeah. Well, what I gravitated to, and I found this kind of interesting, was the character that I empathized with the most was Charlie Tidwell.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier in ways to empathize with, kind of the emotional weight of trauma and duty with, a secondary character than maybe an established one. Coming from your military background, you often throw characters into a crucible of these like high stakes environments where they're forced to make choices with heavy moral consequence. So, tell me more about the background of Charlie. Like, where did Charlie come from?
Well, she's just me, straight up. I mean, she was,
Okay.
she's, this girl growing up in Kentucky, just anxious to get out of there. Not that I don't love Kentucky, I do. But this girl, yeah, I shouldn't say she's just me, that's not true. I don't want people to, look at my family and think, "Oh, he was abused." Like, it's different. But,
Right.
she is this, like, you know, bright but flawed kid, kinda out in the sticks, just looking to escape and without really the means to do so. And, she's got all the same pieces to her that Banner has. And she kind of, she takes care of her little brother, and she just dreams of, she loves the Avengers, she loves Captain America, she just dreams of Captain America arriving, in town on some kind of awesome mission and needing a sidekick, and she would just get, he'd take her as his new Bucky, and they'd go off and have adventures together, and she'd be a hero someday. She just idolizes Cap. And then the Avenger does show up in town, but it's not Cap, it's Hulk. And he is so powerful, and she just becomes completely enamored with it. Like, she can't stop looking at it. She's like, "Oh my god, this is the most powerful thing I've ever seen." And she's so frustrated with her own weakness, her own inability to protect her little brother, and, inability to stand up for herself against her dad, and inability to get out. Like, she just feels so fucking weak all the time, and she has such disdain for the bookish nerd, because that's what she is. And that when she sees Hulk, she is just in awe of it and just follows him. And then when Banner comes back, and she just has such a different relationship with Banner than she does with Hulk. That's what I wanted, really. I wanted somebody who could have to help explore the characters of Hulk and Banner. We had to have another characters that somebody could have a different relationship with both, because Hulk and
Yep.
Banner are almost never in the same place. Bringing in another person was just really important, and somebody that idolized Hulk but looked down on Banner just made a lot of sense to me. So yeah, I love that character, and I love the way their whole arc goes. Like, Banner is constantly trying to get her to leave them alone. He knows how dangerous it is for her, so he's trying to push her away all the time to protect her. And Hulk doesn't give a fuck about that. He's like, "Come on, let's go." And it's
Yeah.
he likes seeing her rage out, and you know and in the end, Banner's right. When they leave her, she's worse off than she was. She's become a monster too. She's killed people. She's done horrible things. And she's literally a monster herself. Banner was right
Right.
the whole time. She just becomes this additional wedge between him and Banner that eventually results in them losing the body completely. So Charlie's just a really important part of the story.
Yeah. Well, as the series progressed, we transitioned into kind of more of this Lovecraftian and inspired epic that eventually pulled in the rest of the 616, and Hulk is now, uh, making his own Infernal Avengers. So moving towards the one shots and ultimately the Hulk War crossover event next year, we've got the 4 March to Hulk War one shots. They're next on the plate, just in time for spooky season for everybody to get into. So, what can we expect from those aside from a whole lot of slobber knocking? Because we know that's happening. It starts with Hulk and Wolverine. So,
Yeah, it's intensely violent. That's
okay,
the big one. That was another meeting script where I turned in the script for uh the script for, let's see, Hulk versus Wolverine. I mean, we've established the new Hulk, the Infernal Hulk, as like basically an old god in his body, like just unthinkably
right,
powerful. And going up against Wolverine, who is super tough, but still a mortal man, basically. And I wanted to establish that Wolverine could hang with him. And so it's crazy violent, and but in a way that I'm super proud of. Jonas Scharf crushes the art on this. Like, he's just born to draw Wolverine. Um, and then each issue just kind of ramps it up. We start to see the extent to like to what extent Hulk is so powerful. It's not just strength the way that he used to be.
yeah,
One side of him has got that corruptive arm. He's basically the father of horrors now. Like, he's got the corruptive seed of the mother of horrors in him, and he can that one arm, the side that's all scabbed up, he can, like, just touch things and corrupt people or the dead, like, raise the dead or corrupt the living or corrupt environments, like raise living cities. And we start to see that come into play in the Fantastic Four issue.
okay,
And then there's a Hulk versus Spider-Man issue, which is really fun. And Spider-Man is woefully underpowered for a fight like that, but it's the circumstances in which he gets into the fight, I think, is interesting. He doesn't. Yeah, I shouldn't spoil it. I spoiled too much.
no,
He's
don't
like,
spoil it.
Hulk's gathering his Infernal Avengers, and Spider-Man gets involved in that fight, and that leads directly into the Hulk versus Avengers fight at the end of it. And then his Infernal Avengers are complete, and we get into Hulk War. So it's really fun, man. I'm really excited about the whole series.
I am, and I'm even more curious now about Midnight Spider-Man because you're talking about this book being the one you needed approval for and elevating the violence. I'm like, what in the fuck are we about to witness this fall? So,
It's
yeah,
it's gonna be good. Yeah, yeah. It's well, like I say, like Hulk War is intensely violent and super scary, and we see terrible things happen to established characters, but it's still a 616 book. And
Yeah.
the Midnight books feel like creator-owned horror to me. Like, these are more like
Okay.
things that you would see, like, in the creepy, eerie kind of line. Like, Spider-Man is the John Carpenter, Cronenberg body horror book. Fantastic Four is the cosmic horror Lovecraftian book, and it's also got some kind it's like it's got a novelist sensibility that I really admire. Like, Ben is writing it like a novelist. Like, there's a real the way that the I can't describe what makes it feel that way, but the way that it progresses really feels like you're reading a prose book. Just man, I really admire the way that he's laying it out. And Hickman doing his vampire epic, like they all feel very, very different. But
Okay.
they all feel like creator-owned stories in a way that Hulk War is still like a in its at its core, it's a horror slash action 616 book, you know?
Are the Midnight ones then designed to kind of fit a horror niche, or is that just sort of a byproduct of what you guys wanted to do with it?
What do you mean? Sorry.
So like a genre piece, so body horror, Lovecraftian horror, those kinds of things. Like they each sort of feel like there's a pocket. Maybe that's just the way
Yeah,
you market
like,
it, and.
it's kind of it's how we're helping people to understand what they're getting from it. But it's not we
Okay.
didn't set out like there wasn't a mandate like, "You do the Cronenberg one." That's just kinda that's where my sensibilities went. And,
Okay.
it's hard to describe exactly what's coming in my book, but I just kind of try to help people understand what it is by telling them, Junji Ito, Cronenberg, Carpenter, this is what you're getting.
Got it.
But each one is very much its own thing, and they all look so different. Like, they exist in the same universe in theory, but they don't look anything like each other. So I'm really excited about it. But yeah,
No,
they're much less reined in and pigeonholed than any 616 book. Like, there's a kind of a color palette you expect to see in a 616 book, and it's all very different here.
okay. Well, I certainly hope we've continued the hype train about both of these projects. Please, everybody get your pre-orders in. I know people are predisposed to already do that, so I'm going to throw this out there. Do me a favor and order one for a friend, because the easiest way to convert people is to just put it in their face. So buy that extra copy, give it to a friend. Just, okay, maybe from what I'm hearing, not one too young.
Yeah. It's I'll say this, if you're a manga fan, check out Midnight Spider-Man, 'cause I do think I think the art is gonna really speak to a lot of people, and there's actually a manga comic within the comic that also plays out over the course of the series. That is fun. So if you're a manga fan, check out Midnight Spider-Man, I think you'll dig it.
Way cool. All right, Phil. Well, before I let you go, I always wrap things up with a shout out. So this could be something that inspired you recently or someone that you just like to say thanks to. So I'll go first, kind of give you a minute to think about it. Mine today is just I've got warm fuzzy about where comics is going as a medium. I've been in this. Yeah, I worked in three shops in the early 90s. I saw what, everybody considers the peak, but it feels like there's this groundswell of enthusiasm that I haven't seen for a long time. And it's been happening prior to SDCC, but San Diego, definitely there was a lot of people, a lot of projects, a lot of excitement. So, this is just my way of saying thanks to the creators that are out there working hard and trying to make some kick-ass books. Cause I don't know, I feel really good about where it's going right now.
That's kinda you to say, man. I'm really glad you feel that way. I feel the same. I just got back from San Diego, and I'm just feel so energized from the people that I hung out with, and, like, some of them are, like, my heroes, like, whose work I was reading when I first got back into comics. So to see them there and hang out with them, introduce Frank Miller to my son, and get to hang out with
Oh, wow.
Bendis at the Spider-Man premiere and stuff like that. Like, it was just such an honor. But also people whose names I didn't know before who are, like, just starting to make their bones, like, you're just, or doing work that seems very solid, and I'm gonna, set out to keep reading what they're doing, and people that I think could be changing the game in this next few years. So it's just a really exciting time in the medium, and I love what a Wild West kind of feeling comics has compared to other mediums. Um,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say thanks to Tom Taylor as well. Like, hopefully a lot of your viewers and listeners know Tom's work. but they might not know he's a legitimately really good dude. He lives in Australia. He doesn't come over to the States that much. And whenever you go to these conventions, there's not enough time to see everyone. There's just not. Like if I had a ton of
Sure.
friends in that room and I had so little time, but I saw everyone that I could, and it's always very brief, and that sucks, but it's good to see them at least for a minute. And Tom reached out via phone. It was like, "Hey, man, we've got to find time to hang out." And the fact that he cared enough to do that when he had so little time overseas and with so many people to see really meant a lot to me. So it was awesome to see my friend Tom. So I wanted to give him a shout out for making time to do that and for, yeah, it was just meant a lot to me.
Yeah, he genuinely seems like such a nice dude. I've never met him, but like his online presence is always just overwhelmingly positive, and he's patting everybody on the back,
Really good guy.
virtually.
He understands the assignment. Like we're in the business of telling stories about heroes.
Yeah.
And he gets that, and I love that. Not everyone does. We sometimes we hear stories about somebody who wrote stories that we really loved and admired from generations ago, like an older book that you go to a convention to meet them, and sometimes they're having a bad day and they're just thinking super shitty. Not now, again, not always. Just sometimes, like there's the offhand
Yeah.
story.
Yep.
Um, you know, Tom is like the opposite of that. Like Tom understands that we're telling stories about heroes and aspires to live up to it, and I really admire that. I admire him as a writer and as a dad, and it was good to see him, and I appreciated him reaching out like he did.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Philip, thanks for hanging out with me today. As a fan of your work, I've really enjoyed this. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
man. Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is Byron O'Neill, and on behalf of all of us at Comic Book Yeti, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Peace.